Welcome everyone. Great to have everyone here for our weekly webinar for our CMOP CMOOC. And we've got quite a mix of people here this morning and this evening if you're in the UK. We've got a couple of people from the UK, a couple from Australia and a couple from New Zealand, so a really nice mix. So let's just go around and introduce each other. Of course, I'm Tom Cochrane from the Centre for Learning and Teaching at AUT here in Auckland, New Zealand. Next up on my screen, we've got Ian. Do you want to introduce yourself, Ian?
Yeah, hi. I'm Ian Upton, and I work at Coventry University for the Academic Development Department.
Very good. And then next I've got Kavita.
Hi, I'm Kavita Kaur, and I'm a learning designer at Deakin University.
You based in Burwood or in Geelong?
Yes, in Burwood, yes. And most of my team is now relocated to Geelong, so I'm the only one left at Burwood. Lonely, Very lonely at the moment.
We've got Shri.
Hello, I'm Shri. I work for the research and development part of JISC, based in the UK.
So JISC used to stand for Joint Information something. Now it just
Systems Committee, yes. And it doesn't now. I think at the time we were literally a committee, whereas now it's a proper legal entity. So it's not a committee anymore, so that's why it was just known as JISC. But yes, no, in fact, I've met Ian through my JISC work, so it's nice to see you here.
Hello.
Hi.
Next up, I have James.
Hi all, my name is James Bird. I run the Mixed Reality Research Lab at Bond University, and I've known Tom now for, must be what, 6 years now, Tom?
Yeah, too long.
My research is mainly in the area of virtual augmented reality and its applications into education.
So James is co-guest editing with myself a special collection of papers for the Research and Learning Technology, which is Alt's journal. And so if anyone has any work, say I'm looking at Ian, on virtual reality, mixed reality, that they'd like to publish in our special collection. It's still open, kind of in a rolling publication.
Cool.
We're looking for the latest research around that in education. Stephanie.
Good morning and good evening to our UK friends. I'm Stephanie Merkins. I am the digital learning facilitator and a lecturer here at IPU New Zealand Tertiary Institute in Palmerston North, New Zealand. Good to see you all.
And we also have from New Zealand, Merle.
Hi. Yeah, Merle, Manukau Institute of Technology, and I'm not sure what else everybody's saying, but yeah, I'm here because I absolutely love research. I love getting involved in new things that are going to be stimulating and challenging. So I'm here. Great.
And last on my list, but not least, of course, is Lisa.
One of the most important ones, right, Tom?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I work with Tom in the Centre for Learning and Teaching in the Learning Technology area, and looking forward to connecting with all of you.
Well, great to have everyone on board this morning. So today is kind of a bit of a catch-up, a bit of an overview of the first week of the CMOOC. And there were several sort of activities for people to get involved with. I know some people have. There's a few of you, obviously, who are probably going to do your homework over the weekend. But there was a few things. Obviously, there was the sign up. So it was getting all your contact details online for us so we could get you into our various forums, etc. There was a short survey on looking at prior practice and in particular some of the tools that you use in teaching and learning. There was the participant map, so our Google map and people putting themselves in the map. So we'll have a quick look at those in a minute, pull them up on screen sharing. And also to sort of start off and kick off your CMOP portfolios, if that's what you're interested in doing, to share perhaps a draft of your contextual statement. So the contextual statement really is a bit of an outline of what motivates you, what drives you, why are you interested in teaching and learning, and in particular technology enhanced learning. So was good to see Ian has actually put together quite a bit of work on his CMOP portfolio, and Ian has been involved with at least 3 of these CMOOCs.
We're finally getting around to doing something.
Yeah, and finally actually doing some work on his portfolio, which is great to see, and it's shaping up to be a really good example. So perhaps we'll have a quick look at that too, get some feedback. So, any questions, any comments from people on this week so far? Anyone like to perhaps share what they've done, or is there anything that you'd like to ask about that you weren't quite sure about before we go and have a look?
Yeah, with the portfolio that we develop, which is in a basic skeleton form for me at the moment. So that's where we're building our portfolio, including starting with this contextual statement. I think you'd also mentioned something about in one of the emails about blogging and commenting on there. So would that blog element also be booked into our portfolio that we create?
Yeah, I guess that depends on your preference. So we're suggesting that everyone, if they don't already have a blog of some sort, establish one, really as a bit of a reflective journal, a place to keep track of ideas, but also it could become the core part of your e-portfolio for your CMOP submission, or just become part of a biography of yourself. So I guess most of the people that we've worked with directly have taken that approach, where they've basically used their blog as their e-portfolio system. And most people have tended to use WordPress, just because it's simple to use, it's very customizable, it's free, but you don't have to use WordPress if you don't want to. So some people use Google Sites, some people use PeoplePad, some people use Mahara. It's just, think through issues of, if you're wanting to share your portfolio, and particularly obviously to get it reviewed, then people got to be able to access it. So just make sure it's accessible. You can password protect it if you want, and then just send the password to the assessors. I guess we're trying to encourage open practice, open educational practice and sharing. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, that's your decision. So it's up to you. So that's the idea of the blog. And when people sign up, we have a field for a blog address. So if you do have a blog, or if you have set one up for the CMOOC, then by sharing that, we can put that into a blog role, and then all the participants can find each other on their blogs and give some sort of feedback on their reflections. So you'll find that blog role on the cmooc.wordpress.com site. So I might just segue into screen sharing there and actually show you that link. But if anyone else has any questions while I'm just setting this up, yeah, let me know. Make sure I share the right one.
Actually, while you are setting that up, I just want to call out to James. James, when you did your webinar for the CMOOC a while ago, I actually quoted you in my presentation at Blackboard with a picture of the stuff that you did. So if you suddenly got queries from people, that's from me. Sorry.
That's not a problem. More than happy to answer any queries.
I didn't put a picture of you. I put a picture of your robot that you put up.
I think I think I see these things come through like the news feeds or something like that, and it might have mentioned you were mentioned in something or other. So
sorry, oops.
That really doesn't matter.
Okay, so
I feel flattered. Thank you.
All right, and I actually put the PowerPoint from the presentation into the CMOOC discussion area.
Brilliant. Perfect.
Yes. Cool. Okay, so hopefully you see my screen, which is showing WordPress. Is it all good?
Yep.
Excellent. Great. Thanks, Ian, coming through. Okay, so the main hub for the CMOOC is on WordPress at cmooc.wordpress.com. And each week I'll update this with what we're doing that week and maybe some hints and tips, etc. And you can see the outline of each week and the types of areas that we're looking at over the 7 weeks as well. So you can skip ahead if you like, and if you're starting to set up the skeleton of your CMOP portfolio, I suggest you order it in a very similar way. So it's easy for the assessors to follow, and they can see what sections are where and what you're referring to in each section. So we were talking about the blog roll. So you can see there's a few headings at the top there. You can see the activities outline, the project bank. We're encouraging people to share some examples, their work in progress of sections of their portfolios each week. Some resources, not a lot of stuff there, but just a few links, particularly to say the alt guidelines. And then the blog roll and the discussion forums on the blog roll. What we've done is we've just taken the RSS feed from people's blog sites that they've shared when they've signed up, and it just goes into this blog roll, becomes an easy way to find all those. And on the right hand side you can see the titles of the blogs, and you can skip to various ones by clicking on those links. So that's the blog roll. Not complete for this year yet, still in progress of putting people's blogs into that blog roll. So hopefully that becomes an easy way for you to find other people's reflections that are involved in this, and perhaps give them some feedback on those reflections. So looking at this week's activities, one of them was to share an outline of your contextual statement in the project bank. And here's the project bank here. It does look different because we're using a self-hosted version of WordPress for this, because it's a custom template that we can't put on .com. We're trying to make it look like we're still on the same site, but it's actually flicking to a different site. And you can see there's a section for each of the different weeks, and each of those weeks covers a different area of CMOL portfolio. We're currently in week 1, which is contextual statements, and there's 17 examples there so far. And of course, not all from this year. There's from the various iterations of the CMOOC. You can see them from over the last 3 years there. And the latest update, thank you very much, Ian, is from Ian. So what you effectively do when you add something to the project bank, if you click on Submit Project, it's just a web form. So what you do is you choose the section that you're submitting to. In this case, it'd be contextual statement. You give it a title, so you'd say, Ian's contextual statement or something like that. You give it a description of what it is that you're sharing. So that could be, a paragraph out of that section that you cut and paste, or just, just a brief introduction to whatever it is. The key thing that you need is the URL, the link to whatever it is you're sharing, because of what you're sharing is a site or an item, an object online. So in the project bank, all you're doing is pointing to that object that you're sharing, or that site. You can give yourself a custom image, or else you just end up with a default one, and then you can tag it, etc. And of course, give yourself a rating. So by default, it's 1 star. But hopefully your submission's worth a bit more than 1 star. So you might want to give yourself 3 or 4, or if you think it's really, really good, give yourself 5. And then of course we encourage people when they view these to rate these and give some feedback by giving people some star ratings. So if we just check out Ian's once again, we can see there's some stats there. See, it was created on the 26th of September, which is just a day or 2 ago. He's had 26 views so far, and he's had 2 votes, so an average of 3 out of 5. Now I do know that he didn't change his default setting, so his first one was a 1, and you can work out what the next one was to give a 3. And if we have a quick look at it, I should probably get Ian to talk about this, but he's got a really nice custom image there. He seems to be morphing into some sort of alien. And then a link to his contextual statement. And if I click on it, maybe you could talk us through it, Ian.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I've had the mic, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so basically I've gone a bit rebellious, and I've done it using Adobe Spark, which is which I think is a really nice way of putting together resources, you can sort of link things together very, very easily, actually. And it looks even better on your mobile phone, which is what it's designed for. In terms of statement, really, I did struggle with it a little bit, mainly because it was sort of work out what to put in it. If you're interested, that image at the top was something that I did quite a long time ago. I did a lot of work with LiDAR and sort of scanning people with LiDAR. Normally, you scan buildings and things and people aren't allowed anywhere near it. So got quite fascinated with creating sort of LiDAR images of groups of people. And that was a bit of a self-portrait with me pulling my hand across as the scan was going across. Yeah, just scroll down, Tom, and there's a little bit of my history. So I used to work in the computer games industry way back, and this was a game that I produced and designed, wrote on the original NES Nintendo. And that's a link to a video which somebody's put up on YouTube. Then I'm sort of hooked into the stuff I do at Coventry University. So I work with technology enhanced learning, but my role really is about supporting lecturers. So, but I don't sort of stand up the front with PowerPoints. I tend to sort of do active learning. So you can see here, I've just...
It looks like you've got a twin there, Ian.
Yeah, there was two of me. No, it was just a panorama. But what was quite fun, everybody came into this room. What they didn't realise, half of them were students. So I terrified all of my lecturers by sort of separating off the students, who then introduced our lecturing staff to social media, which was an incredibly fun thing to do. Yeah, going down, I've done an awful lot with virtual worlds, and I make machinima, which is a fancy name for shooting live footage within virtual worlds. So there's a video there, linked to some CV stuff, and then right at the bottom we've got this video of the kind of activities that I try and engage our lecturing staff with. So it's really just trying to give an overview of me, the different facets which sort of come together. Is that all right, Tom? Does that give you enough?
Yeah, I think it's a nice nice example, and I do like the way that you've used Adobe Spark for it. I think it gives it a fresh look, which is great. And as you say, it's very mobile friendly. But you know, so it's WordPress, but probably just not quite as cool looking as Adobe Spark. So yeah, a really nice start, Ian. And I know as we go, because I had a look last night, you can do things like appreciate, you know, if you like it. And Ian has actually been jumping ahead and filling in his other sections as well, which is great, because it's good to see your portfolio really start to come together. So operational issues is the next section, and Ian's managed to do part of each section so far, and it's looking pretty good. So it's not too far away from being finished, I'd say. So I guess when you're looking at your portfolio, the contextual statement is kind of like the setup. It's kind of like, this is me, this is what motivates me, why I'm involved, and it's kind of a snapshot. And as Ian said, that can be hard to write, because you're talking about probably a quite lengthy career in most cases, because most of us have been involved in teaching and learning for a fairly long time. And so there's a lot to say, you know. But it's kind of like when you actually get into it, it's actually quite cool, because it's like, hey, I can actually do this is a nice place to do a summary of my body of work so far, and you know, really sort of pull that together. So yeah, the contextual statement is not actually assessed as such. It's not a formally assessed part of the portfolio, but you do need to have one. So I think it's a good place to start, because it's not a do or die. You're not going to get actually assessed on your contextual statement, but it does set up the tenor of the rest of your portfolio.
I'm actually fairly new to learning technology in like the last 3 years. So I would think my contextual statement will be quite different from Ian's. I mean, I'm going for the associate role. So how do you envision this could be for, you know, someone of my limited experience? How should I approach that contextual statement? I suppose just showcasing what I have done in the last 3 years and how I'm building from that.
Yeah, I guess it's you know, as a for the associate that's newly introduced this year, and also the senior. So the idea is to give people with perhaps less experience in learning technology the opportunity to get on board, or for perhaps more general academics whose use of learning technology is not a huge part of their role, but they want to reflect on that. Gives people the opportunity to be able to do that. So yeah, you don't have to have had 20 years of experience with the associate. And the key thing really is, I guess, there's really three main parts of each section of your portfolio. One is a description, you know, what is it that you're talking about. Another is some form of evidence, whether it's a link to something you've done, or screenshots or documentation. And then the third and key part is a reflection. What does that mean? What has the impact been on your practice and on your colleagues and your students? And so I guess the contextual statement for someone just starting or with less experience is more about more your generic experience, who you are, why you're involved in teaching and learning, and then why are you engaging with learning technology, and perhaps, you know, why do you want to increase that, or where do you think you're going to head in the future? So it's a portfolio. It's your portfolio. It's very much about you and your experience.
Okay.
And the key is really target the level that's appropriate for where you're at.
And I think is this going to be the first round of, I mean, it's a new accreditation, the associate level as well as the senior. So potentially I could be submitting with one of the first rounds anyway of the associate CMALT.
Yeah, so there was a trial last year. So I think there was 4 or 5 or so different people involved in each level, just to sort of run it through its paces and to make sure the guidelines were okay. But this will be the first, I guess, you know, significant cohort this year. Yeah, so you're right. You'll be among the first to be achieving associate if that's what you're after.
Okay.
So I've also flicked to the map, the Google participant map. You can see it's been viewed 2,464 times, and which is great. Not everyone is on there, so we've had more people than are on the actual map involved in the CMOOC and its various iterations. It's just an option if you would like to share where you're from, add a bit of sort of geographical context to who's involved and where you're from. Then we encourage people to do that. And you can do things like, if I click on mine, you can embed photos. It's just loading. You can embed a slideshow of various photos if you like. You can put links to you know, perhaps your work profile. I've got a link there to my Org ID, which I tend to use as my research profile. Just a bit of info about yourself, and you could position that wherever you like, probably where you work. You probably don't want to put it right on your house or anything like that, but you know, link to your university or etc. So it's just great to see that we've got a great number of people all around the world involved in this. No one from Russia yet. Very few from America, but we have got a couple, and we've actually had a couple from Canada in the past. And predominantly Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. So when you sign up, what I do is I grab the email that you've signed up with and then share the map with you with that email. Some people sign up with a different email address than their Google login, which then means that they can't access that map. If you do use your Gmail address or whatever address it is you've signed up to Google, then that just makes it easier for us to share, you know, Google products like this map with you. If you can't access it because you've given me a different email, then just email me and send me your Google login, or ask for access to the map. So although the map's public, anyone can view it, only invited participants can put themselves on it. Okay, so no one can go in there and spam you and do weird stuff. So that was the map. The next thing, really, the key part of the CMOOC is the discussion forum. In the past, we've used Google Plus Communities. Unfortunately, that died earlier this year, so we've had to switch to a different forum, and we're using a Moodle, self-installed Moodle discussion forum. Unfortunately, it doesn't really seem to be gathering as much momentum and comments as what Google Plus did. I presume that's probably partly because the Moodle app, if you download it to your phone, is pretty clunky, whereas the Google Plus was really quite simple and would notify you when things were posted, whereas Moodle was a little bit more, you've got to go in and check unless you know how to subscribe to an RSS feed, etc. So here's the discussion forum, and what I'll do is each week I'll give an outline of the week's activity here. You should be enrolled. I'll enroll you once you sign up, and you should get an email notification from the email that you signed up with. So that's the other key, is perhaps some people haven't shared an email address that they check, and of course then the notifications are going to go just nowhere. The other key that we use is Twitter. So I'll just pull up another tab here for Twitter. And we use a hashtag, so we don't have to follow each other if you don't want to. We use the CMOOC hashtag. And if you do a search for that, you can see the latest feeds and news there. And it's just a great way of sharing information quickly, be able to share links to it. And I do know that some people signed up and said they don't have Twitter. That's fine, but you will miss out on all the discussion and community via the Twitter feed. So if you are on Twitter already and don't really use it, then I encourage you to explore it as a way of communicating, particularly as part of an international network like we're doing here. It's a great way to asynchronously communicate with Ian, you know, and other people like James Clay and stuff like that in the UK, and even James Burt in Australia, because there's a time difference. And often they're in bed when I'm awake and vice versa. Ian's probably, you know, about to go to bed after we finish this CMOOC webinar. And so the asynchronous nature of something like Twitter is a great way of having this forum. And also because it's, you know, short, it doesn't become onerous. You can just tweet something that's useful for, you think might be useful for the community, and put the hashtag in CMOOC, and then hopefully other people will see it and link to it, etc. So the people that have shared their Twitter addresses, I've tweeted those and linked them. So if you're interested in finding out who they are, where they are from, etc., you can click on their Twitter names and have a look. So there we are, lots of me talking this morning, but just to give you an outline of how to get involved in the tools that we use. I'm going to stop screen sharing and then just throw it open to discussion again.
Okay, I've got a question. Sorry, Tom. If you're putting your evidence together and you're not sure which section of the CMOOC it should go in, who's the best person to get some advice on that?
Probably someone who's done CMOOC before. So if you know anyone who has done their CMOOC, or you could even just like post it on the discussion forum here and try to get some feedback from this community.
Okay, thanks. So I can gather all the information, but it's just like, where do I put it?
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, just ask someone who's perhaps already got their CMOOC and get some feedback, get some advice.
Thanks.
So, James, where are you at with doing your portfolio? Put him on the spot there. He's muted himself conveniently.
I did. I now know I have to do a portfolio. So does that give you an idea of where I'm up to?
Well, that's all right, because I'm sure there's a lot of people with that. Ian's just pasted a link in the chat. He says there's a resource people are interested in Greek Twitter. So I'm not quite sure what that links to, but check it out and have a look.
If you've not used Twitter, what I did, it's something I give to my lecturing staff, that it sort of introduces Twitter at the absolutely basic level if you've never used it before, but then actually sort of contextualizes it in terms of using it for, like we're doing here, working as a group to sort of share and stuff. So if you're feeling a little uncomfortable with Twitter, you might find it useful. You're also very welcome to use it with your own courses or whatever.
Just had a quick look at it, and it looks really good. And I was introduced to Adobe Spark a couple of weeks ago, and what you've done is actually really good. I think I might use it for instructions for my staff, but this is really good.
Thank you.
So can I ask you, Ian, to paste that into the discussion forum on Moodle as well?
I'll have a go. Not tonight. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. Great. Any other questions, comments?
I don't have a question, but a general comment. Everything seems quite straightforward. You know, we're putting up our expertise or showcasing our expertise, but also talking about where we'd like to go in the future with our knowledge and our skills, and maybe even collaborate with one another. That'll be good.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of collaborative learning and teaching. So I think you might hear more from me in the discussion forum than anywhere else. But
That'd be great.
Yeah. No, this is quite straightforward. There's lots of different platforms. So you've got Twitter, you've got the blog site, you've got the MOOC site, and I think that'll be interesting to see how much each one of us or all of us uses each of those platforms. That might be an indicator as well of not so much our familiarity, but also the technologies that we use, so how we use it and which platforms are more preferable to use that in. I noticed when I posted that link to the PowerPoint video on MOOC in the discussion forum, that the video didn't play. It was trying to embed itself there, but it didn't play. Did you?
Yeah, the Vimeo one. YouTube seems to embed quite easily in the Moodle discussion forums.
Right, but not Vimeo.
I haven't tried pasting a Vimeo one in before. I have found with YouTube, if you use the short link, it doesn't embed, it just becomes a link.
Oh, okay.
So if you paste the full URL to a YouTube video, it seems to automatically embed into the discussion forum. So maybe just try a couple of different formats and see what happens. But thank you for sharing that.
No problem. Yeah, watch the video, guys. I know it goes for an hour, but it's as an educator myself, I was enthralled by what the speaker was talking about, and also the way that he presented. As an educator, I can appreciate when someone's focused in what they're presenting and are quite polished with what they're talking about. So check it out. It's interesting work.
I've started checking it out, Kavita. It looks really interesting. I'm about halfway through it, but it's looking really good.
Yeah, it's useful.
So I guess part of what we're hoping to achieve by using a variety of tools to facilitate the CMOOC is just give people experience of using these tools, and within building a community and within the educational framework that people might be able to use in their own practice as well. So yeah, part of the goal of the CMOOC is to actually provide some experience and some evidence for people for their portfolios. Okay, well, we're coming up to sort of the end of our Zoom session. We have 2 minutes left, and what it normally does is just automatically cut us off because we have to upgrade to get longer. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. So thanks, James, for getting up early, and also Kavita over in Australia there, and thank you for staying up late, Sri and Ian. And of course, thank you to our New Zealand participants. It's not quite such a hard time for us, but tried to find a time that we could, get all three geographical areas together. So thanks a lot. I'll end the recording and the webinar there, and we'll catch you all next week.
Bye.
Looking forward to it.
Good seeing everybody. See you later.
Yeah.